Hi folks, thanks for clicking on my video. Today I want to talk about the ALG Defense EMR handguards. I think these are the best value handguards, free float handguards on the market for the money. And I've got three reasons for that. Number one is the way that the handguards mount to the rifle. Number two, ergonomics and design. And number three, the price. Now, free float handguards aren't necessary for, say, a combat gun or a gun that's going to do Minuteman duty or something like that. You don't need them for general application. But if you want to wring out as much accuracy as you can, or you're looking to mount lots of stuff onto your rifle, a free float handguard probably is the best way to do that. And if you're going to do free float, you should do ALG Defense EMRs. I've actually purchased all of these myself. I've got no connection with ALG other than I decided that I really like their product. Going from left to right here in the video, this is the VOE handguard, which is streamlined, nothing special. It's the simplest one. This is the version 1 here, the purple one that's got no Picatinny rail on top, just a straight M-lock all the way around. This now is the V2, which has got a smooth section in the middle, and then it's got a little section of rail there for a backup sight like you see on mine. And then this is the V3, which is the full continuous Picatinny rail on top. And we'll take a closer look at those in a minute. Number one, the mounting method. The way that the ALG mounts is you have a barrel nut that is threaded both for the upper receiver, and also then it's got mounting holes in here for the handguard attachment. And once you get the barrel nut installed with the gas tube through the little channel here, then you just simply use the hex screws and you bolt it right to the handguard. It involves very little stress. It's very simple. The barrel nut comes with shims down here that you can use so that you can time it correctly at the correct torque spec. And you probably need the little $5 purple ALG wrench. Actually, you definitely do. But once you get the barrel nut installed and the gas tube in there, all you do is you just slide this thing back and you bolt it down and you are in. Very simple. Very rigid, very secure. It's got a long barrel nut, lots of interface area there. Now, the more common way to install free float handguards, at least a very popular way, is this method here on the top, where you have a split on the bottom, if you can see the split right there, and then you use some cross bolts to kind of pinch or grip or clamp or squeeze, as it were, the handguard onto the barrel nut. I've never really trusted these. Some manufacturers actually sent out glue. This is like, oh, you glue it down here, or you scrape it up, and then you like gotta glue it on down, and so that it's got some rough surface to attach to. I've never really been happy with those. BCM has a blurb on their website that says, hey, if you pinch it down below, it deforms the top, so we pinch ours at the top. Okay. I own a BCM handguard too, so it's not that big of a deal, I suppose. But the newer adaptation of this is to machine a little ring in the barrel nut and then have a cross screw that goes through, there that actually rides in the little recess of the ring, and so it can't slide forward. But I've never been a big fan of these pinch kind of things. As you'll notice here, the ALG just bolts straight down onto the barrel nut. There's no pinching or flexing or warping or stressing of the metal. I think that's the preferred method. Once you get it installed, look at this little gap, right in here. Isn't that nice? It's really necessary. If your handguard butts right up to the receiver, if you ever use a bipod that's loaded where you're going to put pressure on that handguard up, down, left, right, or something like that, or maybe even under sling tension, it's going to be pressing then on your upper receiver. It's kind of like a highway system. You ever been on like an overpass on a highway? They've got expansion gaps so that if there's any contraction or anything like that, the pieces don't touch each other. That's the same deal. So there we go. Pretty simple. I like it. All right, ergonomics and design. When you pick up a saw, you pick up the saw by the handle. Don't try to pick it up by the blade. You'll hurt yourself. But I think a lot of Picatinny rails are like that. When I go to pick up a Picatinny rail, I'm like, gee, where do I grab it? Like, I don't want to get cut. You may call me a sissy and say I've got soft hands. Okay, fine, Chuck Norris. But the ALG is designed in such a way that it's smooth, especially the VOE. This is a VOE here that's got no rails, not even any M-lock cuts, and it's very, very smooth. And gosh darn it, I want to touch it. That sounds weird. But it feels very good in the hand. I like it. So they did a great design on that. The ribbing, and then there's some flat spots, and it just fits in the hand just nice, which it's supposed to do. It's a tool. You can go, rough up the saw or the handle on your saw and just claim that you're a tough guy, but I tend to get more work done when the handle's comfortable. A lot of the trend in the free-floating handguard has been to do a super slim or super skinny, and I've found a problem with that. If your handguard covers the gas block and it's too small, when the barrel fires, it'll clang around inside your handguard, making contact with the handguard like the clapper on a bell. This is my rifle with an earlier handguard, and as you can see, here's the gas block right there, and the handguard comes right down to it on the corners. I can actually hold the handguard in one hand and press with my palm on the muzzle, and I can get this to contact here and here just with simple hand pressure. This over here on the right, that's the bottom. I can press down on the barrel and get the gas block to touch the handguard. If I can do that just with simple hand pressure, I'm sure it's doing that when I'm firing the rifle. How is that then a free floating handguard? It's not. Here's the ALG. If you can see it in there, it's a little bit dark, but here's the bottom of the gas block. I'll trace the gas block. It goes around like this, like that there. There's lots of room, but yet it's still small enough that it's about as large around the outside as a toilet paper tube. There's more than enough room in there for your free-floating barrel and the gas block. It's designed well. Here we go. Here's the ALG in the middle. This on the right here is a DPMS. Old school with the big nut. You've probably seen those. This here is one of these unnamed super skinny ones. It's obviously too small. The ALG is just right with its interior and exterior dimensions. Okay, so if you're going to do a free float handguard, I recommend that you only get a handguard long enough to just cover the interface here between the gas block and the gas tube. Don't go long. The trend is to do as long as possible. I've seen them clear out to the muzzle threads on a 16-inch barrel. Well, like Archimedes of Syracuse said, hey, the longer the lever, the less force you need to move it. So those long handguards pivot back at the barrel nut, and the longer the handguard is, the more easy it is to bend them with a small amount of force. So my advice is go as far as your gas block and no farther. This is the ALG version 1. This is the V1 with no Picatinny rail. Although they do make a little adapter here to put on a front sight if you want to put a rail on there. The problem is this: if your gas block sits right underneath here, there probably isn't room for you to put the rail on right there and then attach your sight without it hitting your gas block. This one, there's a little bit of room because my gas block just ends about right there, so this one would work. But if it sits right underneath that slot, you probably should pick a different handguard. I'll show you one in a minute. Well, look, there it is, that one right there. Hey, if you're going to put a front sight on yours, get the one with the rail on the front already machined in there. That way, there's no protrusions down inside with a clamped on piece of rail. This is the B2, which is smooth down here for the handguard where your hand goes, and then it's got a little piece of rail up in front. And it's got a nice little transition here so that it's smooth even in the interface between the handguard and the upper receiver. Sometimes this also right here, that can be a sharp little corner if you just have a simple round handguard, and ALG has thought of that. It makes it a smooth transition. Also right here you can see the anti-rotation tabs, which I don't think are necessary because the gas tube sits in that little channel and prevents it from rotating, but if it makes you comfortable, there they are. It's a little more robust. Oh, by the way, they also come with a quick released sling slot right there. Here's my precision rifle. It's got the ALG V2 handguard. That's the way it sits right now. This now is kind of my general purpose rifle. It's got a V0 handguard, which is very smooth, very utilitarian. I like it. What in the world's going on right there? M-lock attachments. Some M-lock attachments will fit. Now they say that these holes here are not M-lock, and they're not exactly. But some M-lock things will fit. Not perfectly, it's not an exact match. And if it spans more than one hole, you're out of luck there. But I found a little flashlight mount that works. So hey, shh, don't tell anybody. All right, so price. At the time of this writing, the ALG handguards at places like Brunel's or so forth are about $145 to $175. You can probably find them cheaper used. And speaking of which, I haven't been able to find the ALG V0 or the ALG V1 in stock anywhere. I don't know if that's just because they're out of stock or maybe they've discontinued those models. I don't know, but I like those models. I have been able to find these two though, the V2 and the V3. Those are in stock at various vendors. So thanks for watching my video. I think that you'll like the ALG EMR handguards. Have a great day.